Hi there, this is the Arakai Moon with Star Siren Astrology, where we learn to listen and learn and sing the song of the sun and the moon and the stars and the planets and the plants and the animals as they co-create this wild, exquisite reality with us. And in the essence of astrology, I feel like it's the power to really listen and co-create with the symbolic and mythological language of nature and reclaim that capability to alchemize and to really co-create with the universe around us and see our parts in the micro, and to really be able to honor and see ourselves in the larger macrocosmos of all of the cosmos, and really regain our authorship. And so that's what I'm all about, and that's what Star Siren Astrology is devoted to. So here I come to you today in the exquisite, windy and sunny, hot, sticky lands of Troncones, Mexico. The waves have been not so long and not so constant this last week, so I haven't been surfing as much. It's given me a lot of time to really contemplate and to start to work on other things in my life right now, to see what's really blooming. And this is a beautiful part of the journey, I feel like, right now, as we are in the absolute last degrees of Saturn and Sagittarius, and we've been gifted this blessing, I feel like, this real gift, where the moon has become new in Sagittarius as well. So as Saturn is really finishing up its deep and profound and long journey in Sagittarius, the moon has come to bless us with this, like, really going in and kind of like allowing us to really see what other seeds need to be planted, what medicines and jewels that we've really gained from this journey of Sagittarius, going through Sagittarius, has been for us. A lot of that has been really deep, profound excavating of truths and where our power is, where our belief systems either propel us forward or hold us back, and what karmic and societal and cultural belief systems are actually ours and are really liberating us in what we're here to create, and to actually attain that higher state of consciousness, that connection to higher self, to wisdom, to spirit, essentially, because that's the journey of Sagittarius, is that desire, that passion to really find that higher state of consciousness, that connection to spirit through wisdom, through truth, through alternative learning, through travel, through philosophy, through going to different cultures, and it's also through excavating our own values, our own I want to say truths, like what belief systems do we have that have been passed on to us karmically, culturally, from familial and parental and spousal and deep collective cultural truths that we can get stuck in, because there's that part of the Sagittarian journey that's forsaking what we've known as truth, and one state of consciousness of like where we've lived. It's like that heroine's journey to leave the village and to really propel oneself with that arrow of precision and with that arrow of desire and purpose, to find that purpose, to find that truth, and go to the journey on top of the mountain, to seek that holy grail, to seek that wisdom, to seek that higher learning that's going to revolutionize one state of living and existing into that next state. And in order to truly do that, we have to leave where we've been. We have to leave where we've been accustomed to. And so because it's been in Saturn, it's such a deep rooted journey, because it's not just dealing with like, oh, this little journey of have never been out of the country, or I've never been out of my city, so I'm gonna like journey to the next and like meet a couple new people. It's like real deep excavations of our, again, karmic, familial, societal. I mean, these are like past life and very like strongly held beliefs of our culture that are holding us to like this collective agreement of reality. And so we've really been in this state of like, for 3 years, journeying through a heroine's journey collectively together. And then for those of us with Saturn in Sagittarius that have been going through their Saturn return, it's been an extra deep journey of shedding these belief systems, to leave the village, to leave that which we really thought was holding us into this egoic structure of reality, to that which we thought we were meant to do, our responsibilities, our ideas of truth, into finding new ways and expanding our consciousness, to expand our belief systems through travel, through learning, through really breaking past our cultural and personal comfort zones. A part of the beauty of this journey is not only to leave the village, and not only to be like really digging into the sides of the mountains, and to all the excavating of the caves and the different trees and the different medicines and the plants and the stones and the people that offer us these like different keys of our learning. It's like we're following these threads of the mountain, and then through these threads we find these jewels, and we find these keys, and it's like leading us into different parts of ourselves. But it's also finding the parts that are like, oh my God, that's not true, and I really held it dear to me. And so we have to like start to unravel ourselves in a sense of like what we really thought was truth, and what we really thought was God, and what we really thought was family, and what we really thought was security. Saturn rules security and structures and foundations, and Sagittarius rules truth. And so in the light of finding those truths, sometimes we uncover the places where we've been disillusioned, where we've been held down and enslaved by our own small-mindedness. And that can be like such a liberating and beautiful journey, and it can also be such a deeply humbling and painful in times, such a deeply vulnerable part of the journey. And so we're also dealing with like, those are the kind of like deeply humbling places on the mountaintops as we're unthreading ourselves. And there's also the parts where we come up to these squares and oppositions. We come up to these characters that really challenge us for like, why are we going to the mountaintops? So there's like this doubt and this like, just these characters of like dynamic protagonists, kind of, antagonist allies, that really, really call us into ourselves and our authenticity, and to, again, like our journey. And so that Sagittarian arrow is like, it's the centaur, it's that merging self of the horse and the heart and the mind of man. So it's really that part of us that's like learning the natural laws, and that's merging itself with nature, and like how our mind and our thought forms and our actions actually have consequences with our nature, with our indigenous soul, with our with the part of us that's deeply wedded with the animal and the plant and the earth kingdom. And what kind of belief systems are we allowed to then put into those arrows to draw, creating this purpose that's propelling us for this evolution forward? And like, how is it in alignment with our indigenous soul? How is it in alignment with nature? How is it in alignment with our mind and with actually what we, and our spirits, of what we're seeking to touch, that that sense of God and fulfillment, and what we experience in the moment as truth, and how can we then follow that with such precision, with such fire and direction, that we reach the top of that mountain and we find that guru or that holy grail, and we really integrate it into ourselves and we really experience it. And so it's that moment where we're like, oh my God, I have found God. Oh my God, this is the answer. This is the key that I have been searching for. And it's that beautiful part of Sagittarius. It's like, I have the keys. I have like this pathway and this key that leads me and maybe others to this higher state of consciousness, that leads to this experience of God. And then how can we like get our way down off the mountain after that transformative experience and share it with the village, and actually bring the message and the light and this offering and our beings as this portal. It's like, instead of needing to necessarily preach it and pound the Bible and pound the diets and really beat people over the head with this newfound key of beautiful, exalted experience of God and nature and oneself, to actually be that portal that just like is the doorway. Because you've actually done the journey, your life becomes your example, like your codes of who you are and what you bring becomes that portal for others to access that key. And the trick of that is being able to be that portal, or that witness, if you will, without becoming too dogmatic, without becoming the preacher that's beating over the heads and like not being able to actually translate and reach the people. It's really allowing one's pure truth and pure life's experience to be that, and everything that you offer is that, so that others can like then go through their own heroine's journey as well, and maybe they find the same key that leads to the same higher state of consciousness and that same experience of nature and of God, or maybe they come to something different. And that's the beauty of everyone's experience through their own wilderness, through their own mind, and through their own realization of God and of self and of nature, becoming something that's deeply personal. And so I feel like right now it's like we're really being called to honor that heroine's journey in ourselves, and yet we're going through this in a collective way. And one thing that I really have been feeling over this new moon in Sagittarius is that the Sagittarian needs, like there is like a need to have its arrow pointed, to have purpose, and to have that like that thing to shine and to sing about, and to be almost, I'm a missionary, like, but yet I've really been in this 3-year cycle of like unraveling like all the egoic threads of why I was like being a missionary, basically. Missionary for the earth, missionary for the plants, missionary for diet and health and healing, and missionary for embodiment and martial arts and yoga, and like missionary for the ocean, and all these things that I like want to sing and protect about and want to like let my life be this living example of, but yet there was these codes and these threads that were deeply and woven into martyrdom and into unworthiness. And so it's like I was needing to also find my worthiness in being this missionary for the earth, or this missionary for for astrology, to listen to and be able to see and speak to these energetic and mythological and other dimensions of reality. And that's a beautiful thing. Yet when it's woven in something as devastating and self-sacrificing as martyrdom, and unworthiness, then it can really quickly be tainted. And one thing I really came to terms with is that if I'm going to fully identify as the healer or the protector, then I am always gonna need the victim and the perpetrator. And that like really hit home after this like really deep journey of Saturn through Sag. But now the new moon is like, okay, like what are the true jewels that we have for the new moon? It's this new time of planting, of going in before the heroine's journey. It's like before the heroine's journey, but yet you've already done the heroine's journey. It's like a new cycle of your heroine's journey is beginning. And it's coming at the same time of this culmination of the last degrees of Sagittarius with Saturn. So it's like right before the pages of Saturn, which is like the timekeeper and real deep cycle of our collective and our structures and our power is coming to turn the page in the chapter into into Capricorn. It's giving us this beautiful gift of like beginning a new heroine's journey and like really harvesting those keys, those final threads, those beautiful fruits and jewels that we've really gleamed and polished and chiseled away at over the last 3 years. So it's really a time to notice those things, like what belief systems, what parts of my journey, of the heroine's journey, of like where I'm going, what my purpose is, what is my relationship with nature and of higher self and God, where have I been disillusioned? Where have I lost my purpose and the arrow has fell and I'm like, it's worthless? And where have we been able to like re-pick up that bow and that arrow and get clear again? And like what happens when all of a sudden we follow something else? I really noticed this the last 3 days, is like I'm really clear on where my fire and my purpose is right now. And yet the first thing that I sometimes like allow myself to get distracted from is my purpose, and is the thing that sings to me the absolute most. It is those keys that I've like uncovered that really lead me to this higher connection of myself and give me a sense of purposefulness and truth and a reason for living and a reason for like really climbing that mountain. And I think this is a really powerful time to like see where we allow our arrow to get a little wobbly. You know, Mars and Jupiter are still conjunct in Scorpio, so it's again, where is that fire? Where is your purpose and your power and your authority? And so like allowing these planets to really like call us in to like accountability of where we're putting our energy and where we allow ourselves to be compromised, where we allow ourselves to kind of like disassociate and like start wandering aimlessly down the path. How can we draw ourselves back into that intention and that purposeful step, that purposeful journey onto the mountain? And noticing also the places where we become too constricted and too attached to the dogma of that purpose and of that truth, and allow for this like gracefulness of Gemini. Actually, I've actually never put the words graceful and Gemini together before, but the point I'm actually meaning to make is that Gemini has this release of like what truth is, and this kind of fluidity of like, okay, well, here's the truth right now, and I fully understand it, and this part of me really believes it, and then this other part of me actually sees this other truth and like can go over here, and like the communication and the integration and the ways from like one place to another is really kind of fluid. And I feel like, you know, Mercury has been transiting through Sagittarius through these last weeks, and is now in retrograde, and it's gone and had a, you know, communication with Sagittarius, or with Saturn. It's come up to Saturn and it's gone retrograde, and it's come up to Saturn and now it's gone retrograde, and it's conjuncting Venus. And so it's really allowing for those parts of us that are attached to the things that don't fully nurture our purpose, that you know, if it's conjuncting in Venus, it's like where are our values and our where are our values, how are we receiving, how are we creating from this place, and you know, how are we allowing our purpose and our truth to be implemented in our life. And it's really giving us these really sweet and final days to really get clear on that, to let go. This is time to really let go. Find the threads that you're like, oh, that's been coming up for a few years. Let go of those belief systems and really reclaim your purpose and reclaim your drive and your fire, and reclaim that bow and that arrow, and be prepared, because Saturn is moving into Capricorn, and we're having a huge, powerful time of Saturn and Pluto and Black Moon Lilith all in Capricorn. The sun will be there for the time of the beginning of the new year. So this is a really potent time to really let go of those belief systems that are hindering you, that you've found are dogmatic and constricting and hindering you from that higher experience of God and nature and your higher self, really, and noticing the consequences of those actions, because it's rules. Sagittarius rules natural law, because we're moving into a time of Capricorn, and I'll speak more to that in the next video. But this is a really time of identifying that purpose and allowing for the energy to get so powerfully focused that it grounds you for when we move into Capricorn, because that is the time where we're like building, and we're actually growing, and we're harvesting, and we're taking responsibility, and we're choosing to let ourselves be seen in these places, even mid-ceremony, even if it's not fully ready, even if you're not fully professional yet, or you're still in that journey of learning how to integrate these truths. This is the time of we're not solely gathering information and in school and solely on our own personal journey. We're moving into a time of growth and a time of really building structures that sing that song that was there on the Sagittarian mountain of your heroine's journey, because the structures that are not are falling, and they're coming down, and they're really going to start, the foundations are crumbling. And we're going to see a lot of that this year. And so this is really a time to learn how to grow and to tend the garden and to take responsibility to create the life that your heroine's journey has revealed to you. Like, what is your song that you're here to sing? What is that dance, that mission? What would you missionary for? You know, as triggering as that word can be, like, what would you sing for? Blessings on your own heroine's journey.